It's the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Oman, featuring Ben Konowitz and Nate Loucks. And here's the podcast.
You, me, me. Little booger sugar.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm up. Let's go.
Are you guys ready to do the podcast?
Let's do the podcast.
No. Yes. Man, got him.
Oh,
Emilio.
you're a Butabi.
Boo. Boo.
Okay, all right.
Boo.
That's about as funny as the movie is.
Yeah, we did all the funny bits.
That's not true. So
I broke the window again. That's a funny bit.
There's several funny bits.
There's a couple.
There's very, very few.
It's not very, very few.
I can count on one hand.
No. That's just as high as you can count, period. So
All true.
this is another special episode of the 10 to 1 podcast. While we are on
We talked to Brad about his drug use.
on hiatus between seasons,
This is what we call an intervention.
we're continuing to go through the Saturday Night Live movie library. And the next movie on that list takes us forward to the year 1998. And this is a movie called...
It takes us back to the year 1990. We're in 2024.
But we jumped forward from Stuart Smalley.
Well, you should have said that.
Well, people understand if they're longtime listeners and they listen better than you do.
There's only two of them.
So that brings us to A Night at the Roxbury.
Are you making this podcast into something very, official? And this takes us back
Now,
to...
come with me, if you will.
Hitherto known as A Night Upon the Roxbury.
Nate, where were you in the year 1998?
Ferrell, Will, and Kattan, Chris. What do we say about they?
Little James Lipton in there.
I tried my best.
That's very good.
So we're talking about A Night at the Roxbury, this is the first of a new batch of Saturday Night Live movies based on popular sketches at the time. We had a little bit of a run in the early 90s after Wayne's World was a big hit, and we got Coneheads and Wayne's World 2 and Stuart Saves His Family and It's Pat and all these things. But they very much tapered off, and none of them were anywhere near as big of a hit as Wayne's World was. Many of them were even box office bombs. And as we'll soon see, that didn't change much as we went into the late 90s and early 2000s with these new SNL movies.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Taking a turn from Stuart Saves His Family, which we talked about at length last time, which could have been an independent film, it was a way better movie in a lot of ways than we thought it was going to be. But now we're just kind of back to this is the dreck of what you think of when you think of an SNL movie. Normally, in my opinion, it's it's a throwaway. These characters should never have been made into a feature film. It's a lot of just extending a premise that doesn't need to be extended.
I mean, they should just thank It's Pat, because if not, this would be the worst SNL film of all time.
Well, I'm not sure I would, at least up until this point, because let's not forget we're coming up on Blues Brothers 2000.
I've never seen that, by the way.
I haven't either. It'll be hard to be worse than
Is
this.
it good, man? Just John Goodman? Okay.
So let's come with me a little further back than 1998. That's not this one.
Oh, sorry.
No. So the original Roxbury sketch, which is known as the Roxbury Guys, because A Night at the Roxbury obviously wasn't a thing yet, debuted on March 23rd, 1996. Do you want to take a guess? Nate, if you know, don't guess.
I won't.
Because you might have researched. Who?
But Brad's like, Ben did not research. We know this.
Who hosted this episode?
1996. I'm going to go with 1996. Somebody very popular. It was Charles Barkley.
No, I'll give you a hint. It's a former cast member.
1996. That's going to be.
I'll give you another hint. One of my favorite former cast members.
Ellen Cleghorn.
Close. Very similar in every aspect. It is a man by the name of Phil Hartman.
Oh, the late great.
The late great Phil Hartman was hosting on March 23rd, 1996. This is where the Roxbury Guys debuted. Phil Hartman was not in the sketch, though, and in fact, this is the only version of the Roxbury Guys where the host did not appear in the Roxbury Guys sketch throughout their entire run on Saturday Night Live.
And these days, if you watch Saturday Night Live, it is extremely rare for the host to not be in the sketch.
Correct.
They are in everything these
Yes.
days. Back in the 90s, not so much.
And also, unique of the debut of this sketch is, first of all, it was only 2 minutes long. It was very brief.
Which I'm pro shorter
Yeah,
sketches.
and this was the very basic setup of what the Roxbury guys were until it expanded into different sort of avenues, where it's Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell as the Butabi brothers. They're in the China Club, and they're dancing. They're not dancing to What Is Love. The first iteration does not feature the song. It would not appear until the second version of the sketch. They're dancing. They're doing the thing where they're like you, me, no, that was it. And they do that, and like that's pretty much how it goes. They bat Sherry O'Terry around a little bit, and that's the sketch. You get some flares of what the characters would become, but ultimately you don't see really who the characters are until the movie. And the movie changes how the characters appear in a couple of the later iterations of the Roxbury sketches. Because if you listen to Will Ferrell in the early versions of the Roxbury sketches, he talks like this. And it's like hey, I'm just a weird guy, and like he probably works like on Wall Street or something. And they're very much doing the coke nose thing, even though you never see them do coke in the sketch. And they're just douchebags, and their eyebrows look really bad in early versions of the sketch. Like they're just like pasted on pitch black eyebrows. They look terrible. So yeah, 1996 is when the Roxbury guys begin.
They said we need to make a movie, a full-length feature movie about this.
There was another thing about the first sketch of the Roxbury guys that I noticed that I thought was interesting. There was two other characters in this, right? They were not featured. They were just in the sketch in the background.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was the great Sherry O'Terry. The other one was a person that was only on SNL for one season. Who was it?
Oh, it's oh no, I'm thinking of a different sketch. So the first one I don't remember.
David Koechner.
Oh, interesting.
I forgot he was on.
I must have missed him.
Kind himself.
Yeah, I forgot he was on.
Where was he?
He was the bartender.
Oh, okay. I wasn't paying attention.
That's what I'm
to the
saying.
bartender. Gotcha.
You would easily miss him, but like I saw him in the background, and I thought I forgot David Koechner was on SNL.
That's interesting.
But yeah, for sure. And they don't play in that first episode or in that first iteration. They don't play the "What Is Love."
What is the song they do?
I said that.
I didn't hear you say that. But
What was the song? Do you know?
So the first song from the sketch was actually "More and More" by Captain Hollywood Project.
Oh,
the classic.
yeah.
More and more and more. And baby, baby, baby,
yeah. Hey.
Still very much a house techno, like
Obviously.
pop song, but nowhere near as iconic as "What Is Love."
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
No
No
more.
more.
No more.
So the second iteration of this is basically what probably people immediately think of when they think of the Roxbury
The
guys.
Jim Carrey one?
Correct. I couldn't believe that the second iteration of the Roxbury guys was the one with Jim Carrey, because I would have thought that Jim Carrey arrived at a time when the Roxbury guys were already well established. But no.
I'm going to guess this is why this sketch became a thing, right?
I would imagine it helped for sure.
Because he was an uncredited writer of the film.
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Well, so that's what it says on the IMDb. I don't necessarily believe it because there's nothing else out there that indicates as much. So I don't know if someone made up that fact or if
they took enough mannerisms of what his ideas were
right
on to be like, yeah, we should give him an uncredited.
The only thing that makes me think that it could be true, or it could or can easily inform the lie, is that there is a reference to Jim Carrey in the movie where Jess Palminteri is like, "Hey, Jim Carrey, come here, you pet detective bastard."
And again, it just says that he contributed to the script, so
Sure.
it doesn't
Right.
say he was in the writing room
So
or
yeah,
anything.
I don't know.
But it wouldn't shock me if, again, they were friends at the time,
Maybe.
and they met with him and said, "This is what we're doing. Do you have any ideas?"
Stranger
Right.
things have happened. But yeah, so this is the most, I think, well-known version of this version
The
of the
Tom
sketch.
Hanks one, I think I do remember pretty
Tom
well
Hanks is
as
pretty
well.
big, and Tom Hanks is the next one. But the Jim Carrey one, it's Jim Carrey doing the exact same thing with the guys, going to multiple locations.
And he's got a neck
Some would say
for it. He's got a
doing it
neck.
better.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a neck for it.
You know,
Right? He can do the whole
Yeah,
bopping
he's
thing.
he's a Stretch Armstrong come to life.
Yep.
So he's Mr. Rubberface, so he can do those exaggerated mannerisms perfectly.
And that's kind of what his physical comedy was. What was really selling him at that time in the early 90s.
Come on, he's playing a burnout cokehead guy at a club, which allows Jim Carrey to go off the rails, which is what he's best at.
Brad, you would maybe know this, but was Jim Carrey a groundling at all? Was he into sketch comedy at all? Because I know that they wrote this sketch when they were at the Groundlings. Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan.
So I know Jim Carrey did stand-up.
He just came from stand-up and then got in Living Color.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if he was ever a sketch comedian.
I don't believe he ever did.
I don't think he was at any of the staple places where people did. Like, he might have done sketch comedy here and there, but he was mostly known for doing stand-up and like doing characters in stand-up.
Insane characters in stand-up,
Okay.
But yeah, and so this version is actually where the Roxbury guys sketch really takes shape, because this is where they establish them going to multiple locations in a single night around New York City. They establish them being in a car in between those locations, and that is the entire shape of the sketch as it would continue forward. And
how many of these overall?
After 1996, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
1, 2, 3, 4,
9.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
9 times.
9 total. That is roughly half of what they did with Stuart Smalley, which is shocking, honestly.
But yeah, 9 in 3 seasons, essentially 4.
Yeah, between 1996 and then 1998 was the last one, and they only did one in 1998. And we'll talk about actually why that probably is once we get a little bit later into the movie. But like Ben said, Tom Hanks did one, which was another very famous one. Martin Short did one. He was the fourth one.
Wow.
Where he plays someone who comes in from another country, some vague Middle Eastern country. And like they give him a makeover, and he starts hanging out with them.
Can we time out about the Martin Short real quick? Because can we talk for our listeners who have not seen it yet? Go search out Martin Short doing Jiminy Glick on Jimmy Kimmel right now.
Yes, it's a good point, because even though Jiminy Glick is not a Saturday Night Live character, it is.
You're
high
a
quality
fan of comedy. You're a fan of comedy.
Yeah,
so
the first interview he did on Kimmel for Martin Short's guest hosting stint was with Bill Hader, if you need a Saturday Night Live connection, and it is hilarious.
I'd skip the Nick Kroll one. I didn't really like that one.
I haven't watched the Kroll one yet.
But the other one, Nick, he's not doing him.
Nick was trying to yes and him a little bit. That
was too
didn't
much.
work.
Yeah, you don't yes and Jimmy Glick. You let him do his thing.
Exactly.
Push back on Jimmy Glick. That's what you're supposed to do.
Or you just laugh at him like Bill Hader did.
Yeah. Bill Hader could not stop laughing, and it was adorable.
He was in his happy place. It's just like watching his comic hero do what he does best.
Yes.
But it is just...
Jiminy Glick is one of the better characters of all time as far as just soup to nuts. It's the fat suit. It's the food that he eats. It's the treatment of the guests. It's Between Two Ferns before Between Two Ferns.
And it's sketch comedy gold, right? I know it was on Jimmy Kimmel, but this is sketch comedy, right?
Yeah,
and it is
100%.
It is so good and just...
It's
so
just perfect character work.
Fun to see a varsity level performer come in and he just knocks out of the park. And again, the connection obviously is he did this sketch when Martin Short hosted, but also I just want as many people to see this as possible and you wrote about it, I know, on Slash Film. But
I did,
really
yes.
Good.
Yeah, and so that was what we'll call the tangent to one part of the podcast.
Wow.
You're welcome, everybody. So the next version of the sketch I want to talk about, because this is an extremely unique version that I can't ever recall seeing something like this done before on Saturday Night Live. This is the one that was hosted by Alec Baldwin, February 22nd, 1997. Night at the Roxbury the Roxbury guy sketch appears right after the monologue. But not only does it not appear just after the monologue, it appears morphed from the monologue, because Alec Baldwin's monologue is one of those monologues where he starts going around backstage and talking about how great Saturday Night Live is and how cool like all the background action is and everything. And they'd make some jokes about the background, but then they actually prepare him for the sketch live on air while he's doing the monologue. They put on his wig, they take off his shirt and jacket, put on a new one. He walks to the set of where the sketch is going to be, exits through the door that he's going to enter, and they begin the Roxbury sketch straight from the monologue.
That's a lot of fun.
It's really cool.
And that's a choice, That's
a
different choice. Lauren was like, gone that day?
And Lauren's in the sketch.
That's so crazy.
Lauren's in the
normally he would
Lauren's in the
not-
sketch appearing as a guy painting one of the matte backgrounds with a big paint
'cause
overall suit on.
You don't see a lot of formula changing.
Yeah.
With the show all that often. So.
I had never seen it before, and so I was like, oh my gosh, this is really fucking cool.
That's awesome.
The one bad thing I will say about the Roxbury guy sketches is none of them are officially available online because of music rights.
Right.
Thanks to What Is Love and the original song they used, they don't have the rights to keep paying to stream those, and they are not even available in the episodes that are on Peacock, because that's where I originally tried to find them. The only way I was able to watch most of these sketches
He got it off Craigslist.
was A, Reddit, but B, the actual more superior source, because they have the more rare clips, and this is the only time I'll ever give them a compliment, is TikTok. TikTok is a treasure trove of old SNL sketches that are not available anywhere. Yeah, it's incredible.
Because TikTok doesn't give a shit about music rights?
TikTok doesn't answer to any piracy laws because of China, so they don't really have to do it. Like there's no way to really enforce it.
China.
So it's a bummer because there are a lot of people pirating movies on TikTok in chunks. But when it comes
of all people that I think would have a problem with it,
it'd be you.
I do. But when it comes to media,
but it comes to things that I want.
No. But when it comes,
I want to see this though.
Well, no.
This I want to see.
So, but here's the thing, and this is the trouble that I have with. This is why I'm a physical media person. Is when you have companies like big conglomerates like NBC, Universal, and stuff like that take material off from streaming and don't have it officially available, whether it's because of music rights or because they just don't want to pay to have it on a server somewhere anymore. That's when okay, well then we have no choice but to pirate this if we want to watch it, because you don't make it available anywhere else for us to watch.
Yeah, and you also, I didn't know this until Brad told me, but if you buy a movie on iTunes and it's in your library, they can just take it back and make it go away.
That's 100% true. You do not own any of the digital movies that you have bought.
Even
and
though
paid
I said
for.
I purchased it, I bought it. Though.
They do not belong to you. All of your digital movies can disappear one day if they decide.
But if I buy a physical DVD, I need a physical DVD player, which is clutter. And then I've got to find places.
Clutter.
Then I've got to find places to put all the DVDs, which is a lot of space.
It is. And then also, you have to
yeah. Then
get
you
the
tap
dust
on your
off it
DVD. Then you have to tap
you
on
have
your
to-
DVD player and bang on it 2 times.
you gotta
and
get a
blow.
machine
It's
that
not an
cleans the
NES.
DVDs.
It's not an old Nintendo.
You get the spray.
Yeah.
And then you get a disc cleaner.
And then you have to take it to the disc resale store so they can resurface it.
Family Video used to offer that service.
I remember that.
They charge you 50 cents, and then Mike Flores would just be and put it in the dishwasher and give it back to me and I'm like, is that a sand wheel? Is that a sander? I was like, it actually looks worse when it came out.
But it did work better.
It did work better, yeah, it did.
Adam Sandler.
Oh boy, wow.
Okay, so the next version is the first time we get a female host involved. Do you know who it is?
Jennifer Garner.
No, because this is
This is
1997.
What was the show she was on? Her
Alias.
first show? Yeah, it was
This
way
had
before
been
Alias.
just before Alias, probably.
All right.
hey.
Margot Kidder.
No. Sunday.
What are you doing? This
wait.
Here's the thing. You're asking me. You're looking at me like, guess.
But think of 1997.
No, I want.
Margot Kidder.
Let me see.
Lois Lane is very famous.
Listen to me. Let me see if
You just kicked me.
Let me see if you and I can do it.
Audrey
Sunday
Hepburn.
nights.
Sunday-
Sunday nights.
Okay.
You got that special feeling when you watch this show with women on the beach.
Marge Simpson. Oh, sorry. Pamela Anderson.
He was right. It's Marge Simpson. Yeah, Pamela Anderson hosted on April 19th, 1997.
That was Sunday nights, I think.
She was promoting Barbed Wire.
Yes. And now this version is maybe a little more creepy than the typical version of the Roxbury guys. Because what we haven't mentioned up to this point is that the Roxbury sketches maybe haven't aged quite as well because they follow two creepy guys who are forcing themselves upon women.
Yeah.
Well,
and
significant
banging
amount
their
of sexual-
crotches
yeah.
into them physically on the dance floor, rubbing their genitalia in a way that says we're fucking on the dance floor.
Yes, it's a bit of a problem.
It's a bit Weinstein.
Significant amount of sexual assault, yes.
Yes, correct. And so
Especially because in the very first one with Cherry O'Terry, if you watch that, she's looking at them like, I don't want this.
Oh,
this is not what I want.
100%.
Right?
She never wants it.
So it's none of them ever want it.
Yeah. But Pamela Anderson.
But they're like, you know what? 8 more of these. And a movie.
Pamela Anderson doesn't want it either. So she leaves the club, but they follow her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like she's in her own car, and somehow they have her cell phone number, and so they both call her, and she's like, "What the?" And she throws her phone and smashes their windshield. The funny part though,
what's the funny part?
The one that works because that doesn't make any sense, and is that she's gone to like a health club, or she's like at her hotel or whatever. She's in a hot tub. That's the SNL hot tub set that they have for sketches like this, and she's in the hot tub, and they just come rising out of the jacuzzi, which is a funny gag, you know. But yeah, so Pamela Anderson was the first famous female who was the object of their affection in the Roxbury.
I have another
sketches.
fun fact about this.
Okay.
In that sketch, there was another dancer in that sketch played by
Jennifer Lopez.
Nope. It was a male. The brother of Will Ferrell, Patrick Ferrell.
Oh.
In the sketch. Yeah.
Patrick Ferrell has popped up in some of Will Ferrell's movies as well.
No, I looked him up on SNLarchives.net. If you're an SNL fan, certainly visit that site. I think he was probably in a dozen or two sketches on SNL as a background person.
Mm-hmm.
So, because again,
similar to how Chris Farley's brother was also seen.
yeah, you know, if you ever watch the show and you know that there's some scenes that happen in cafes or clubs like this, they always need extras, and sometimes they pull the staff in or the writers, these kind of things. But if you've got a friend, hey, my brother's in town, he wants to be on it. Great, come in here, and that's a fun story to give. So
it is.
Yep.
The next one we got was with Sylvester Stallone. And this turned into a Rocky-themed
I don't remember this one.
version of the Roxbury.
Wasn't he good?
A lot of Rocky jokes in this one, which was very concerning, where he doesn't know how to dance, and so when he tries to
Stallone,
not as an actor, as a character, he doesn't know how to dance. And he goes to like punch the woman instead.
Oh my god!
like Rocky, but it's like, whoa, wait, what's going on?
We don't even do that.
Like, we'll hump them, but don't punch them.
we penis punch. We do not hand punch.
But so
Patrick Farrell's in that one too. As the Patrick Farrell podcast now.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's move on.
That one.
Hey, if you ever want to interrupt the flow with other fun facts,
I'm on Patrick Farrell watch right now.
Yeah, good.
You know who else is in that? Ben's favorite, Jim Brewer.
That is true.
What is wrong with you guys?
Jim Brewer is in this one. But they do one fun variation where they're in the car and they're listening to What Is Love, but Sylvester Stallone, he can't quite get the thing down, so he changes the song to Eye of the Tiger. And he's fucking just jamming out to that, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, and then like of course at the end he admits that like he can't dance, but then they get him to do it, and it's funny. The next iteration would happen in December of 1997, and this I actually kind of like the later versions of the sketch because like it evolved it into different premises. They did
characters.
Yeah,
right?
like they do the same thing at first, but then it changes into a thing. So like this is the one where they start to throw Sherry O'Terry around between them, but then she's like, hey, wait a minute. She's like, I don't really appreciate this, you know. She's like, not one time did either of you ever ask me if I wanted to dance. And she's like, you need to see a professional or something like that. So they go to a psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist is played by Helen Hunt. And she tries to get to like the root of like, you know, why they're doing what they're doing and like to try and help them be better. And then there is a fun cameo in this one. Can you guess in December of 1997 with Helen Hunt as host who the guest might be?
Haley Joel Osment.
No, why?
I don't know. I just thought
because of Pay It Forward.
Yeah,
it came out in like 2001.
Okay, well, you know what? They were still friends.
What?
I don't know.
But you're close. You're on the right path.
Jack Nicholson.
Yes. Jack Nicholson pops in. So Helen Hunt basically
from Anger Management
tries to tell the guys that no one's into that like cool suit, sunglasses, slicked back hair. And Jack Nicholson comes in. Is like, hey, honey, are you almost done? And then
because he's playing the therapist's husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the best part is that the song begins at the very end when Jack Nicholson is leaving, and he starts on the way out
doing the thing. Yeah.
So that was a good one. The last one that they ever do is September 26th, 1998.
Al Gore.
No. Close, though. Cameron Diaz. So what's interesting about this sketch is it kind of starts out like it's a completely different kind of sketch. It's at a completely different club. It's set up almost like a dark crime kind of vibe where Cameron Diaz is wearing
Dark crime club.
This like black dress and a black wig. She talks to Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins and addresses them like as such, like they're there hanging out, like hey Smashing Pumpkins.
Hey Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins.
No, she literally says hey Smashing Pumpkins. And so then it pans over. She's like, who's the new guys? And of course, it's the Roxbury guys, and they're dancing. But this evolves because it kind of takes them to where they've never gone before, where she's into them, and she takes them back to like her room and stuff, and like they seemingly start to hook up. But then she jumps out of the covers, and they're both in with each other. Where like Ferrell is like behind Kattan. They're like whoa, because homophobia is funny.
Gay.
But then we get what is arguably, potentially, maybe a bigger cameo.
It's a crossover hit.
Than Jack Nicholson. Can you guess who the other cameo might be?
Ben Stiller.
No. I'll give you a hint. They're a former cast member and a former big-time host.
Think Eastern European.
A former cast member and a Eastern European Joe Piscopo.
No, characters.
Oh, characters. Gotcha. I don't know.
Well, there's two new guys on the scene, and they are wild and crazy guys. Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin appear in this sketch. As two wild and crazy guys.
Festrunk brothers.
This is the first time the Festrunk brothers have appeared on Saturday Night Live in 20 years when this happens. Last time it was in 1978, and the only time they ever appeared was when Steve Martin hosted the show. So this was a curveball out of nowhere, and the audience went fucking wild.
I bet, yeah.
Like I can't even imagine how exciting that would be, because like when I went to look up, well, they had to have done this like more recently, but it had been 20 years since they did anything with those characters.
They only did those characters before this 4 times.
Yeah, they wasn't like a super popular
for some
thing.
reason that would probably be in the top 10 for me characters of SNL that are kind of institutional.
With two wild and crazy guys,
and they weren't in it all that much.
Yeah, exactly. So we get two wild and crazy guys. Funnily enough, the next time that they appear wouldn't be for another 15 years. And do you want to know who hosted that episode?
Are you talking about Wild and Crazy Guys?
Yeah.
So that would have been 2013?
2000.
Good math. Yeah, no, you did math right.
2013.
That's why he's a business owner.
Oh, yeah. It would have been Peyton Manning.
No. Close.
Who else was killing
Stop saying close. Every time I do it, you're going to be like, Dakota Johnson.
No, who else was killing it on SNL at that point?
In 2013, The Lonely Island.
Well, closer?
You're getting closer. Getting warmer.
Andy Samberg.
Get closer.
I mean, he's not hosting.
Hey, Andy Samberg did a very famous Lonely Island sketch with this.
Dick in a Box. So Timberlake's on it? Oh.
Timberlake was when two wild and crazy guys came back again.
Oh.
So there you go. So that sketch in 1998, that was the last time the Roxbury guys would ever appear on Saturday Night Live. The movie came out in October.
And that's why.
Well, no, so the movie would come out the next week, and that's basically why the Roxbury guys came back.
Sure.
So the movie itself was released on October 2nd, 1998. As you might guess, it did not do well. It opened at number 4 at the box office the weekend it came out.
Out of 3?
No. The movies that preceded it on the box office chart.
Ooh, no, I'm not going to.
That weekend. Number 1 was Ants with a Z.
I saw Ants. You didn't see Ants?
I saw Ants.
Oh, I did see Ants.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
You got a
So
problem
it
with
has
Ants?
a Z, so what? That's fine.
Number 2, What Dreams May Come with
Good
Robin
film.
Williams.
I liked What Dreams May Come.
It's good.
Do you know why I liked it?
Tell me.
Because it's super sad.
Yep. Number 3, Rush Hour.
In its 17th week?
Yeah, it had been like 8 weeks. Since it was out.
Yeah.
Other movies still on the charts at this time, though below Night of the Roxbury, opening at number 4. Ronin, Urban Legend. There's Something About Mary.
That would have been out for weeks and weeks.
12 weeks,
Yeah.
still on the top 10. Incredible.
Well, because it was
Saving Private Ryan in its 11th week.
great film.
Blade,
In its 3rd week?
Rounders,
I had
How
to
Stella Got Her Groove Back,
Oh, girl.
and Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
With
I saw Small Soldiers.
Phil Hartman.
Full circle.
Bitches. So Night of the Roxbury comes out. It's not well received overall in its entire box office run. It lasted in theaters about 5 weeks, and it is only making over $30 million by the time it's done. not a big hit
Sure.
for Saturday Night Live. Now,
But still did make back its budget at least. Like,
sure, it was a small budget movie. Now, so did you guys see Night at the Roxbury when it came out in theaters?
I had no desire to see this.
I
film.
did not.
Wow, really?
No.
If it had, because I also wasn't a Will Ferrell fan. Like, I liked Will Ferrell on SNL. If this had Chris Farley in it, I probably would have saw this.
I saw this on VHS.
So at this time, I wouldn't have called myself a Will Ferrell fan necessarily because
Will Ferrell had done nothing to be a fan of other than SNL. He wasn't a movie star.
Yeah, he wasn't a movie star, and he really hadn't hit like a big stride on SNL yet.
No,
even
he's still young.
they had done the cheerleader and stuff like that, but
he was making a name.
But it was never anything where like, oh man, I love Will Ferrell, you know.
Yep.
But I wanted to see this in theaters because I liked the Roxbury sketches when like they were a pinnacle of like the time that I was watching SNL. So like I really liked it, and a big part of that was the Jim Carrey version of the sketch.
Sure.
That was the one that stuck in my mind. I was obsessed with Jim Carrey around this time. And so that like I really liked these Roxbury sketches. So I made sure that like my mom took me to see the movie. And friend of the pod, at least go fix yourself, not the Saturday Night Live podcast, but Charlie Young, who's a good friend of ours, is also a huge fan of Night at the Roxbury, and this was like one of our staples growing up. We still make references to the movie to this day. It's not a good movie, but I love this movie because of just like when it hit when I grew up, and so like it still makes me laugh. I really enjoy it. But you guys didn't watch until it was on VHS.
No.
Nate,
And
did you even see it much later than that?
I don't think I saw this film until like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Wow, interesting.
And I've hated it every time I watch this film.
You hate it?
This film's awful.
I just like it's. I feel
There's
like
funny parts, but
There's
overall
very,
it's
very
so
few funny parts.
bad.
like I hate its pad.
This is in that level for me.
No,
Yep,
come
it is.
on.
It is.
No.
This has this. Okay, its Pat had no funny parts to it, right? None. Like maybe one. There was
I
one
laughed
scene-
one time.
This probably had 3 or 4 for me, but I actually just found it obnoxious.
I mean,
I found it obnoxious.
It's stupid and it is obnoxious to an extent, but like there's something about Chris Kattan's character in this movie that I like that it fleshes it out beyond what's in the sketch because you never really get a sense of like who they are as characters in the sketch. You don't hear Will Ferrell's voice changes actually once they do the 1997 version with Helen Hunt. That's when you hear the Doug Butabi voice that he uses in the movie because it's a little like this. He talks like
I hated
Okay,
it.
guys.
I hated it.
What I'm really thinking about is what we need to do to
Yeah.
open our own store.
yeah.
Yep, and I kind of hated it. Honestly,
I was
did.
fine. I'm fine with it.
No,
Like,
I hated it.
But yeah, so like that's the official voice that he gets. That's the voice he uses even when they did the 1998 version. But I like Chris Kattan's energy in it. You know, it's very much signature Kattan. Like it's like all over the place and like wild. But like I love the way he dances. Like there's great physical comedy in this movie, I think. There's 2 gags, and this is a very specific kind of laugh that like works for me, and I don't know why, but I love a good sight gag where something is thrown and it makes a very loud like thunk
So you're
or
talking about
crash
the
sound.
potted plants in
The
the
potted
van?
plants cracks me up every fucking time because if you watch
one of the times that made
Kattan
me
while he's
laugh,
doing it, he's just chucking them at the
And it's
side of the
hard.
van.
It's
yeah,
hard.
and it's hilarious.
I laughed when he breaks the window because it was unexpected. He goes, broke the window again.
Yeah.
Like this has happened multiple times. I did laugh at the pots being thrown for sure.
Yeah.
But like the most annoying stuff is like at the gym when they're like, "Do you have a power bar? I got an energy bar. You got this bar? You
No, I
that
got a
bar?"
muscle triplicator bar.
Fuck you. I want that time in my life.
But they're
back.
gym bros.
No, that's bad humor.
You know, right before this film came out, a year before maybe, or 2 years, Clueless came out, and I saw a review of this. This is Clueless without any charm or without any actual filmmaking.
Yes, no. So it's very much follows the same formula, including the fact that they got Dan Hedaya to be the father.
Yeah. Except this time he hates his sons.
Right, and so there funnily enough, there is a bit of a darkness behind that Clueless vibe, because as Chris Kattan revealed in his memoir, which is called cleverly
Memoir.
"Baby, Don't Hurt Me."
Is it really called that?
It really is.
Yes, it makes me
I thought it was going to be Mango Unchained.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's really good.
I love that joke so much. I'm not even laughing at it because I am so
Impressed.
happy for you.
I'm so happy.
like that is like wow. I mean,
it really is.
I'm really mad too, because that's a fucking great joke. Holy shit, Mango and Shane. God damn. If this were Go Flix Yourself, that's the name of the episode.
Well, there you go.
By the way, Will Ferrell had done one movie before this. Only one. What was the film?
Oh, I maybe I do have an answer for this. So early 90s Will Ferrell.
I loved him in this film. And it obviously was a bit part. Like, he wasn't getting starring parts yet, but a bit part. And
Roxbury
I
came
loved
out in
him
98.
in this.
So
1997.
Would have been 97. What would Will Ferrell have been in 97? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Ooh, what a fun bit.
Yeah, this is a good question.
He did one.
What is it, Nate?
Yeah, what is it?
Austin Powers International.
Oh, of
Son
course.
of a
God
bitch.
damn it.
Mustafa.
Is that his first movie?
Yeah, it's his first movie.
Wow.
And so, like, Will Ferrell, I think, is brilliant in there. And it's a bit part, but he's just so freaking funny in this.
Yeah.
I remember leaving that film not knowing barely anything about Will Ferrell other than his SNL. And
that was
thinking,
some
this
of the
guy's
funniest.
freaking hilarious.
Yeah. It's a bit. It's beginning to turn gangrenous. It smells a bit like almonds,
Which is not good.
which is not good.
So that was a tangent that we had there. But I was talking about Chris Kattan, and in his memoir, he wrote about how Lorne Michaels basically pushed him into having a sexual relationship with Amy Heckerling, who was the director of Clueless, because Lorne wanted Amy to direct Night at the Roxbury. And so he encouraged Chris Kattan to strike up a relationship.
Which is mafia level power that Lorne Michaels evidently holds.
Well, and you have to wonder, though, if maybe there was already like some kind of chemistry there and he like encouraged it. But either way, not cool.
Well, yeah. And again, this is in a memoir to sell books, so who knows if it's inflated or what? I don't know.
I know, but
there's a lot of weird stuff out there.
So
that's just weird if true.
Apparently, they did hook up in her office. That did happen, but she didn't end up directing. She only ended up producing the movie. And so that's her involvement. Actually, is a big part of the reason the movie does not take place in New York, which is primarily where the sketches take place.
Which I think was a bad decision.
I don't know, because thinking about it, like their vibe kind of fits a little bit more perfectly in Los Angeles, I think, rather than New York. It's just like at least the way it plays out in the movie, like their kinds of characters fit better in Los Angeles than they do in New York.
But I thought watching the actual sketches, like I felt like it was a very New York type of setting, right?
Oh, I mean,
New York club scene.
Sure, but the LA club scene isn't much different. But the way the characters play out, as far as like the kind of guys they are and like their parents and that kind of thing, fits better with the like. Actually, I was specifically talking to BJ Colangelo. She's a writer at Slash Film, and she said ever since she's moved to Los Angeles, she lives close to like an Armenian neighborhood, and she said there are so many specific references in this movie that she understands much more now because of where she lives.
That's fair. And the whole, again, Clueless connections, the California kind of felt, again, derivative of that too.
Yeah.
I felt like setting it in New York City could have been a little bit more of a separation from Clueless.
For sure.
The plot kind of device.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, Amy Heckerling, apparently she had said like they didn't want to deal with what she referred to as like the bridge and tunnel, scene, and like figuring out how to make if that like would be part of the movie and like all that kind of stuff.
It's just harder to shoot in New York City than it is.
That I mean,
just by anything.
Sure. But yeah, so that's kind of a dark thing. And so the relationship with Heckerling is actually the reason that there was a falling out between Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell. So Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell, at the time the movie comes together, have been friends for a long time. They both came up at the Groundlings. They came up with the Roxbury guys at the Groundlings. Mm-hmm. This is something that they had that was part of their friendship and their coming up in comedy before they even came on Saturday Night Live.
Both got on SNL. This is these are guys that were nothing together.
Yeah,
right?
and so as it goes, apparently what happened is because of the relationship, Chris Kattan, he says that at one point Ferrell told Chris Kattan, he's like, "So I got all your messages, but I didn't call you back because I didn't want to talk to you."
And
which is the best.
If I remember that, I got all your messages over the summer break.
Right.
Now we're back at SNL, and now we've got to work together again.
Right.
So he comes up to him and says, "I got all your messages. I didn't call you back because I didn't want to."
Which is Step Brothers for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also like 100% honest.
Yep.
Right. No excuses, but also like, fuck this. I don't want to call you.
Yeah. And this would explain probably why there are no Roxbury sketches from September 1997.
They were still on the show for 3 more years?
Yeah, to September 1998 when the movie comes out, because they had already had their falling out during production of the movie between that season and the next season.
Does it say why they fell out?
It sounds like Ferrell was upset that Chris Kattan engaged in the relationship to try and benefit the movie.
But why?
I mean, I don't know, because it's kind of a sketchy thing to like agree to, and
well, according to Chris Kattan, he was pressured to do so by Lorne Michaels.
Sure, but he still did it. I mean,
I get it, right? But like I feel like Chris Kattan's put in a really weird place.
I don't know.
By
maybe there's more
the
in
producer
the
of
book,
the film and his
always.
boss.
Well, there's more to the story on.
That's what I'm saying.
There's your side, my side, and the truth.
I
right?
feel like
there's a lot going on here that we have no idea.
I feel like
about.
there's layers there.
There's so many
that
layers.
I'm not understanding.
So I'm going to point out something, an interesting fact about this too, and this is something that Nathan Rabin, who is a writer for used to be the AV Club. He actually does a really interesting series about Saturday Night Live where he's going through each episode one by one. He does like a couple a week. He's written about Saturday Night Live a lot. And he did like a retrospective on this movie back in like 2017 or something like that. He says he interviewed Chris Kattan and Amy Heckerling because they did interviews together when they were doing press for Night at the Roxbury.
Which is also insane.
Insanely awkward.
That you would insane because why wouldn't you have the two stars? Oh, because they had a falling out. So
Exactly.
now it's a producer.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a producer sitting next to
ever since he even mentioned that, like ever since he found that out, he's like, oh well, that explains that, and that's really weird.
It's
now.
weird. Yeah.
So he says this about he said incidentally the two movies I was thinking about writing up today when he wrote this article were Stewart Saves His Family and A Night at the Roxbury, both of which were co-written by men who had secret sexual relationships with Heckerling. Harold Ramis, the co-writer and the director of Stewart Saves His Family, even had a secret child from his secret affair with Amy Heckerling.
Who is Amy Heckerling?
Crazy.
She's got that good, evidently. Yeah.
Only in Hollywood.
Only in Hollywood.
I mean, let's be honest. The two men she's sleeping with aren't like...
Well, that's also very true. It's Chris Kattan and Harold Ramis.
But I like the Los Angeles vibe of this movie that comes with it, because then you get Richard Grieco being there, cruising around in his illegal Ferrari. It's a fun cameo.
I also did watch a clip of a podcast from 2 or 3 years ago with Emilio Estevez, and the woman is in her 20s, and she goes, "I love Night at the Roxbury," and I'm sure you get this all the time, but when you were at the Mighty Duck Man himself, Emilio, did that happen to you all the time? He goes, "It happens every day."
That's awesome.
He goes,
Emilio is one of my favorite
it
bits in the
still
film.
happens
That is
to
one of my
him
favorite bits.
every day.
I love that.
And they were really trying
I'm not even sure I would be able to resist.
So he tells a story. He goes, so then one time, and this is like a few years after the movie came out, I'm at a function. It's an all-day thing, and Kattan's there. And I can see him kind of side-eyeing me and like just, not really. And he comes up and he goes, "Are you mad at me?" And he goes, "No, for what?" He goes, "For the thing." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?" And he goes, and so then he says, and this would be the exaggeration.
Yeah.
He says, Kattan in that moment goes, "Emilio," and everybody turned their heads. He's like, "I wasn't mad before, but I'm mad now." So I don't know if that's the bit, but
that's a bit, but
still
yeah,
a good joke.
That is really funny.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't imagine.
It happens every
That's
day.
so funny.
There was another famous actress, that made her film debut in this. At the end, she was a bridesmaid. Who was
That's
it?
correct. I also found out that this was Eva Mendes's first movie ever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I know this is controversial.
Molly Shannon's hot.
I have a big crush on Eva Mendes.
So does Ryan Gosling.
Yep, for sure.
I just don't think I have a chance, though.
I don't think you do. Your full name is Nathan, correct?
Yes.
Not Nathaniel.
No.
Okay.
If you were Nathaniel, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Also,
that's
Will
the
Ferrell met
breaking
his
point.
wife on this.
Yes, that's true. It's the only movie they've ever appeared in together. She plays like a random
but
person.
He met her
an
in
extra.
this film. Isn't that fun?
The other coming back to something I was talking about before, the other physical thing that makes me funny that is the same sound throwing thing is when Will Ferrell's crying in the van and he's like, "Hey, hot lady, what's shaking?" And they just throw the milkshake in the van. The sound it makes fucking cracks me up every single time. And Chris Kattan's reaction is great too, because he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll clean it up later."
It's a bad movie, right?
Yeah, I don't
disagree.
No, you're.
I don't
finding a lot of
disagree.
humor in this
It's a
that-
bad movie. I think it's very funny though.
Okay, there are times though. I 100% agree with you. Where
Chaz Palminteri is hilarious.
Now, he's funny.
every time he's on
Yeah.
screen.
he's good. He's good.
The whole
Did you grab my ass?
oh, grab my ass. The Jim Carrey, you pet detective son of a.
Smoking.
That's good. It's good.
But it's funny when we're 13. It's not as funny.
No, it's still
when we're
funny.
42.
It's still funny.
It's
no,
Chaz Palminteri's lines is
to
funny.
prove this, I'll show you. My mom was laughing at this movie today when I watched it. I put it on and she was laughing at it.
Yeah, but your mom likes Chaz's butt.
Weird.
She wants to grab the butt.
So the music, song and dance sequence, I guess you can call it, in the middle of this movie, I think is very good because it's very funny. Like the physical comedy aspect is really funny. It's also like edited and choreographed very well with the music. Like it gives you like a good 90s club energy.
I love you with all my heart, but you're stretching here.
I'm really not.
One thing that I think is to my 14-year-old brain or 16-year-old brain when I saw this, one thing that I thought was awesome and that I don't think is as awesome anymore is the idea of that they had to have the club. It looks like you're inside when you're outside.
Right.
And outside. I thought even back then, and for those of you that don't know, I had an escape room business, and I loved theming and designing, and that probably back then was like, oh, yeah, you can make the inside look like the outside, and the outside look like the inside. I lost my mind at that when I was that age. I love shit like that.
It doesn't make any sense though because they have actual club furniture outside of the club, and if it rains, it's ruined.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like the old Holiday Inn in LaPorte.
exactly why
looks
it's
like
a terrible
Well,
idea.
but they have actual club furniture
Yeah,
out, like in the elements.
velour
Yeah.
stuff that will be matted and smell like wet dog immediately.
But no, like speaking of Chaz Palminteri and that sequence though, I love when they're dancing with each other and they all like grab each other's butts. He's like, "There's some good ass grabbing going on there."
What a
That's
weird-
fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
that's a nice little. I mean, I could.
I have seen this movie so many times that I noticed something.
Why would you ever watch this again?
I have seen this movie more than you would even want to watch any movie.
I lost so much respect for you.
I have respect for myself, and that's all that matters.
Do you?
Yeah,
Do you?
I'm good enough. I'm
I-
smart enough,
I-
and
I
doggone it, people like
think
me.
That's
You-
a film. That is
I think
a film.
you think you do. If that's a, but I don't think
That's
you do.
fair.
Wait, which is better?
Well-
This or Stuart Saves His Family?
I enjoy this more than Stuart Saves His
No,
Family.
not even.
I think Stuart Saves His Family is the better film, but I enjoy this more than Stuart
Stuart
Saves
Saves
His
His
Family.
Family was actually trying to be.
Ben's
a film.
not saying anything. I want to know what Ben has to say.
This is by far the funnier film
Okay.
No.
because there's 5 times I laughed out loud. Stuart Saves His Family is not a comedy whatsoever. It's a drama, and
It's
it's,
a dramedy.
Great, it's a
It's a
great movie.
dramedy.
It's a drama. It's a great movie.
Which one would you watch again?
I would watch Stuart Saves His Family again. For
As
sure.
you should. Yep.
I'll watch Night at the Roxbury tomorrow.
Okay. Anyway, what's your point?
This is a PG-13 movie. There is
Okay.
a moment when they go to Chaz Palminteri's character's house where the camera is panning across the party in the yard, and sitting in the pool is a woman with no top, and her boobs are just sitting right out there, and no one noticed.
It doesn't shock me that you figured that out.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
I
Okay.
didn't see that either.
Yeah.
So what Brad's trying to say is you're not allowed to do that in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah,
No.
you cannot have bare boobs in a PG-13 movie, but they made it in, and they are right there for everybody to see. 13-year-olds included.
Did you see it when it came out?
No, I didn't notice this until like repeat watching.
Until I paused it frame by frame as I
Yeah.
normally do on Tuesdays.
There's a
with my
reason they were
mom.
repeat watching, Nate. This part of the tape was worn out. But no, I mean, yeah, the Emilio gag is hilarious. The Will Ferrell's ambulance sounds, like we were doing before, is really funny. Yeah, I don't know. I get a lot of enjoyment out of this
It
movie.
tickles a
The
very
say anything,
specific.
the say anything
funny.
reference at the end is very funny.
That's fun. That's fun. It's
The
not
Jerry
I don't know if it's
Maguire
funny,
riff?
It's fun.
Jerry Maguire riff.
It's fun.
Fine. It's fine.
It's not necessarily funny. That was a fun scene, but not a funny scene.
This movie's very funny.
I know you're trying to sell it, and I love that for you. But like, actually, I will say this: I thought Molly Shannon was one of the better parts of this film.
Yeah, she loves making out.
She's great though.
No,
She
I
is.
think she's pretty funny in this. Yeah, I get why. I think maybe they were making Superstar right at the same time, were they? I think they greenlit both of those films.
I imagine they probably went into production on Superstar like right after.
Yeah,
this.
and so, but I get that because she does have so much talent, and I know that film's not any good, but like she has so much talent, and she's charismatic when she's on. Like she does this thing that I get. Like I get why people like Molly Shannon when you watch it. Yep.
Well, there you go. There are critics who agree with you. I picked two of my more favorite commentaries about this. Nathan Rabin, funnily enough, wrote a pretty scathing review of Night of the Roxbury. He can be a little bit pretentious when it comes to certain comedy things sometimes, so I'm like...
He just likes good comedies.
So here's what Nathan Rabin said while he was writing at the AV Club. And the first part of this will make you be like, oh, hold on a second, motherfucker. So hold on. Apparently seeking to continue Chris Farley's enduring legacy of awful Saturday Night Live-derived buddy comedies.
Go fuck yourself!
See, I told you.
You're done.
Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell bring their clueless disco-dancing, club-hopping SNL characters, newly christened the Butabi brothers, to the big screen in The Night of the Roxbury. Faced with the daunting task of transforming a skit involving a pair of hapless, near-mute disco dwellers into a feature-length movie, the filmmakers have given the brothers a backstory seemingly assembled at random from discarded scripts from past SNL projects. Ouch.
For the record, Black Sheep's not a good film. Black Sheep is 1,000 times better than this.
Yes. There are so many more laughs in Black Sheep.
I agree with that, but yes, Black Sheep is not good.
There are so many more.
But 1,000 times better than
There are
this.
so many more laughs in Beverly Hills Ninja than there are in this film.
I won't go that far.
I will.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Ninja and Night of the Roxbury are equally bad, and they each have funny moments.
Beverly Hills Ninja is bad. Black
It's
Sheep's
very bad.
Black
Wagons
Sheep,
East
Black
has
Sheep
more
is
laughs.
fine.
That's not even remotely true, and you know it.
Black Sheep, I think, is fine. It's not good or bad. It's fine. Beverly Hills Ninja is bad, but I still like it better.
Kill Whitey. I laugh at that every
gonna
day,
rewatch
and I'll
it.
laugh hard at that every
it's
time.
a great
bat scene,
moment.
the bat
Exactly.
scene with
Exactly.
just that'll
There's plenty in there.
falling down the hill. Let's talk about that one instead.
Can we just talk about that movie?
I do wonder once we're out of SNL movies if we should.
We should just do the Farley movies.
If we
for
want,
sure,
we just
yeah.
go through the movies of SNL stars that kind of
Yeah.
like happened. Well, anyway, Roger Ebert. This was my favorite one.
I like Raj.
D. Capesh of Chicago writes, do you ever find yourself distracted during a screening by thoughts of the review you will write later? Distracted to the point of missing part of the film? Sometimes it gets much worse than that, D. Sometimes a movie is so witless that I abandon any attempt to think up clever lines for my review and return in defeat to actually watching the film itself. I approach it as an opportunity for meditation. My mantra is, ugh. A Night of the Roxbury is such a movie.
I agree with Raj.
Well, this is one of the cases where Roger Ebert was wrong. So, and I don't say that often, but when it comes to Night at the Roxbury, a classic comedy.
Oh boy!
And I think we've said all we could say about that.
And I like that Brad's looking at it and now that time has passed and the Criterion Collection version has come out, I think we all know that it's aged very gracefully and that it's like a fine wine.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you get a posthumous essay from Paul? Shit, it's not even worth it anymore. I was going to say
Paul Thomas Anderson.
I was going to say Hunter S. Thompson, and I started saying Paul Thomas Anderson. Said, "No, it's not even worth it." No, that stays in, Nate.
No, yeah. He needs to be punished.
That's
for
a
that.
fuck up, and I'll own.
You're
to
gonna
it.
own that. You're gonna own that one.
Yeah, I fucked that joke up. Sorry, guys. Would have been gold if I landed the delivery, but
Our
I
listeners
just,
don't know how many times that happens in an episode.
yeah, I had a triple Lutz plan for this performance, and I fucking knocked.
Not getting a gold medal tonight,
Yep.
are you?
We're not professional editors. So I think they have a kind of an idea how many times it happens in an episode.
No, we hide a lot. Brad and I hide a lot when we edit these episodes.
Mhm, yeah, most of it from Ben.
Yeah. Final thoughts on the Night at the Roxbury, besides the fact that it's great.
It's not good.
It's a great '90s soundtrack. It's got a lot of bangers.
I don't like dance music. But
I don't like dance music either, but I like this soundtrack.
Okay. Ben, anything from you?
I like. The only thing we didn't touch on is, and we did a little bit, sorry, the Molly Shannon character. I like
I touched on that.
the dynamic between Will Ferrell and her, and his just reluctance to just, I guess this will be my life.
They could have done more with that. I
Really,
think.
if they would have explored that, it could have been a way better movie. But
I agree. Their chemistry is very good.
and I see why Superstar, probably the cast worked there as well, because Will Ferrell's in that movie as well. But Molly Shannon and Will Ferrell's relationship was an underrated part of this film. And Dan Hedaya is great, and Chaz Palminteri is great. They're very, very good in this movie.
All right, we want to hear from you. Let us know what you think about this film. If you liked it as much as Brad, or if you disliked it as much as I did, or if you're just kind of in the middle like Ben.
I liked it more than Nate, a lot less than Brad.
I love this movie.
So sound off in the comments on the Facebooks and let us know.
Yep.
All right. Hey, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at slashfilm.com. Sometimes I'm writing about Saturday Night Live. Sometimes I'm writing about Saturday Night Live movies. I actually just recently wrote an article about a little bit of trivia in Wayne's World that I didn't know about, which you can go read about that if you want to. It's concerning the Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven reference. You can find a little interesting factoid about that on slashfilm.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Ethan_Anderton. And stick around because we have plenty more Saturday Night Live movie festivities coming.
You can find Nate and I on Go Fix Yourself. Our other
we got another. You and I have
podcast.
a podcast. Yeah, Go Fix Yourself.
Go Fix Yourself.
You guys still fuck around on Twitter too.
Here and there. Make bad jokes about Air Bud sometimes.
What else is new? The next movie in our list, I believe, is Superstar.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Superstar, starring Molly Shannon.
Superstar.
With Will Ferrell in 2 different roles. And we'll be watching that and coming back to talk about it in a couple weeks.
He plays Bruce Dexter and his evil twin Dex Brewster.
All right, on that joke, we're gonna let you go, but we look forward to. Please rate and review this podcast and keep listening. We'll be with you all summer. Thanks so much for listening. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Bye bye.